Hi guys, and welcome to my June plan with me. I just wanted to bring you guys along for my first birthday month recording of my June plan with me. So before I jump on into my actual June plan with me, a little bit about myself. So I've actually been bullet journaling for almost a year now. I started August of last year. My biggest thing that drew me to bullet journaling was the fact that I always had lists everywhere, and I kept seeing it pop up on Pinterest and YouTube and everywhere else, so I figured why not give it a try. And here I am almost a year later and so much more organized and so thankful for it. Another thing that I love about this bullet journal is I deal with mild anxiety, so this definitely kind of helps me keep everything in one place, and I know what to expect, I know what's coming in the future, and it just helps ease my mind, which obviously this is not a prescription for it, but it's a nice little side effect that I've seemed to have picked up on, and I'm sure a lot of other people have. The biggest thing that I've always picked up on, though, is that everyone always says, your bullet journal doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be pretty, and that's another thing that really I had struggled with in the beginning, because, you are intimidated by all the other bullet journals that you see and how gorgeous they are and colorful, and they've got personality and these drawings. But you really have to take a step back and be like, it's really just a list, and keep it moving. And I'm actually planning on posting a flip through of my bullet journal so far, and you'll see in the beginning I learned to cover up some mistakes. On into June. So since June is my birthday month, I decided to do a mermaid theme, since I was named after the Mermaid in Splash with Tom Hanks, which is definitely one of my top favorite movies, even if I wasn't named after the mermaid. I mean, you can't go wrong with Tom Hanks. So what I did was I took the top of my coffee sugar can and I traced that into my bullet journal, and I of course drew June in the middle with like a bubble cursive font, just to kind of give it some personality, and I filled it in with a bunch of scales. And I decided to pick a blue color scale because blue is one of my favorite colors, and I figured, it would fit the theme. So I picked 3 different colors of blue, and I just kind of went to town and filled in all the scales around June. And as you can see, it's pretty time consuming. I tried to speed it up a little bit for you guys, but they'll only let you go but so fast. So enjoy the methodical coloring of patterns and scales. And sorry in advance, guys, the camera does get a little shaky. My setup that I had to hold my camera was kind of leaning up against the table, and as I scribbled back and forth, it kind of shook it a little bit, so disregard. Now, in retrospect, I definitely wish I had picked 3 more distinguished blues, just because when you look at it, it does seem a little flat, and I wanted it to have a little more depth to it, but at the same time, it's a nice, subtle depth. So it's not too in-your-face chaotic, but I'm not sure. Next time I go for a pattern like this, I'm definitely going to take that into consideration, which you always should. Never stick with one kind of flat tone, try and give it a little depth, and that's the key to your sketches and your drawings. The shading is pretty much everything. Here's where everything starts to come together. So I decided to outline June in a purple fine liner, I believe it was, and that's just to kind of give it a little pop. In my original sketch, as you can see, I kind of shaded it in, but I decided that, it looked a lot better as negative space and to just keep it empty. And I will tell you, retracing over that June in a permanent marker was the most intimidating thing, because it took me like 15 tries just to trace it out in pencil. But I made it happen. And then I ended up taking that same purple fine liner pen, and I traced over the words that I'd written around it from the 22nd year into the 23rd year, just because, I am turning from 22 to 23, and I just kind of wanted to take this month to reflect on the fact that, I am a year older. And I always call this my personal new year. This is kind of where I have that reboot, and it's kind of nice that it falls halfway through the year, so I get my regular New Year's in December, and then come June I have another kind of restart to reevaluate my life. And here's where I kind of bring together all of my blues. I decided to go in with those empty scales and kind of outline them in a dark fine liner, but it was a blue, just to kind of, again, add a little more depth to it and make sure that those empty scales had purpose, because I didn't want my same colors touching, but I had to do something with them. So I gave them a little more personality, a little more pop, just to kind of bring the whole look together. Although when I looked back through it, I definitely missed a scale. Wonder if you guys can tell which one it is. So once I got everything finally set with my cover page and I was finally happy with it, I moved on to my June calendar. This month I knew I was going to be busy with a lot of birthday plans, dinners, and just kind of going out and doing stuff, so I wanted to make sure I had a nice big calendar to plan it all out on. So each box for each day of the month was 7 boxes high and 5 boxes wide. And it kind of fit everything perfectly, because when I do a big calendar like this, I don't like for one of my Tuesdays or Wednesdays or Thursdays, whichever falls in the middle, to fall right on the crease of the spine. I like them to either be on one side or the other. I'm not big on splitting things like that. I like it to have its own space. So to the left, I had a general to accomplish list, and that's just for like your monthly tasks that don't really have any specific day that need to get done. Like I had to mail out some letters and take care of some, adult chores, and those I usually put there. And then underneath that you see a box that says gift. So again, it's my birthday month, and I almost never know what I want, especially the gift to myself. So I decided I'd put myself a little box for things that I see, just to kind of give myself ideas to treat myself for my birthday. So as you can see, I'm doing the monotonous chore of lining each box. And when I look back over the recording, I noticed that some of the days of the weeks I had divvied up, but like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I didn't complete those lines up top. So I still have to go back and fix those, because it'll kill me in the long run. It's gotta be right. Now you'll see in a moment, once I get to the bottom of the calendar box, that I kind of squiggled a little bit, especially on the right hand side. It didn't go the way it was supposed to. My hand kept sticking to the desk, and my wrist, it didn't work. So what I ended up doing is going back and making it thicker to make it look purposeful, kind of like a drop shadow, but not a complete drop shadow. And this is just one of the things that I've picked up on, throughout the year that I've been bullet journaling. You just kind of have to roll with your mistakes. So you see there, I actually went back and made that one thicker, even though I didn't squiggle. And I really should have gone back on that right hand side of the calendar and made that one thicker too. But that's another day's chore. It was definitely really nice that there were 30 days in June and the way that they fell on the calendar, because up top it gave me a little room to just kind of doodle my own little mermaid tail. Decided to fill it in purple just to kind of bring a little more life to the page and keep it from looking too monochromatic, which is not my favorite. You'll see I did go over the scales in purple, but the seashells I actually left in pencil, just because I like the way they look with the grayscale look. And you'll see that I'll do it with that conch shell at the bottom of this page as well. So this is actually my budgeting chart, and I've kind of fallen in love with the way that I do it. So the way I've got it set up is I have my list of bills by name, and in the next column I list how much they are individually, and then beside that I do my 2 paydays that month because I get paid on the 1st and the 15th, which kind of makes my bills a little easier to organize. But what I do is I go ahead and I plan which check I want to take them out of, and I'll put like a little line underneath that date just to signify, hey, you need to pay this one on this check. And then as I pay them, when I set them up for pay, I'll do half of an X, so from the top left to the bottom right of that box. And then when it comes out of my account, I go from the top right to the bottom left to signify it's been paid completely. I don't have to wait for it to come out. And this has just really kind of helped me keep everything organized, which is nice, especially since I just switched jobs and my paydays are a little wonky, so I kind of have to get used to the 1st and the 15th paydays instead of every 2 weeks. And the way I do my budget, just to kind of keep myself on a real budget and manage to save, what I do is I give myself a certain amount of spending money each week, and then everything that's left over after all of my bills are paid and I've got my groceries and my spending money, I usually take that and I move it over to my savings just to kind of fill up my jar and get ready for my vacations. And on the right side, you see I did 23 goals for the 23rd year. Because I really want to be ambitious with this year. I don't want to let it just slide by. So I decided to try and make a list of 23 things I want to get accomplished that year. And on the next page, I always have a grocery shopping list in any of my monthly planners. And that's just because I like to keep everything in one spot. And if I don't, then I'd have stickies everywhere and I'd forget what I need, and it's just so much easier to have it in one place. So I always like to kind of give it a little personality, give me, a reason to flip to that page and write it down. You've got to have some kind of inspiration. And I've noticed these past couple of weeks and months that have passed, I haven't really used the whole page for my grocery list like I used to. So I decided to fill in the bottom with a little doodle just to kind of continue on that pattern and theme that I have for this month. And on the last page, I like to have a mini brain dump throughout my months. Some months I use it, some months I don't, but I feel like this month is the month that I'm really going to be processing thoughts. So I decided to do my Friday, Saturday, Sunday on the bottom of the page, and then have the rest of the space to just kind of jot down thoughts. And I'm a little weird. I like the days of my month to stay in that month. I don't like to finish out the complete week in the previous month. I like to keep them separate, that way I know where to look and when I need to look at it. And then I just kind of did, some little quick doodles, nothing too extravagant on the sides, just to give that a little personality, give me something to look at to inspire me to just keep doodling or keep throwing down thoughts. And here's my final flip through of June. It really kind of came together. It had just enough personality and not too much going on to make it really hard to keep up with this month. So that way when I do my future weeklies, I can still keep that theme going throughout the month. I hope you enjoyed planning with me for June. I can't wait to see you next month. Bye!